And we're back with another episode of the AC Milan Zone podcast. Victorious yet again. We have not experienced a back-to-back victory so far this year. It's our first one. This time, an easier one against Lecce. Welcome back, Ozzy.
It's good to be back.
Let's jump straight into it. The boys are victorious. 6 points in the last two league games, one a lot easier than the other. What did you think? It was an interesting game. The score might make it seem like we dominated more than we did. Some might say that we didn't dominate at all. What did you think of the performance?
Yeah, no, I think you hit on the spot there. The scoreline doesn't really reflect what was um, what was shown in the game. I don't think it was as convincing as a win as just reading the scoreline 3-0. But some good performances and some very good instances. And I guess with the quality we do have, at least on paper, we can see that 5 minutes of not concentration by an opponent like Lecce will cost them completely, like it did. So mixed result. I mean, the result was great, but the
Mm-hmm.
performance was mixed, I would say.
Yeah, fully agreed. I think the first, 30, 35 minutes, perhaps Lecce had the better chances. They were on the pitch very well. We couldn't attack great. We didn't create definitely a lot. On the other hand, there's something to be said about Serie A being a lot about these games. A lot about these harder games with opponents that fall back, that are tougher to break down, and you need to be very clinical and cynical in front of goal. And we were just that. And in a blink of an eye, in the space of 5-6 minutes, we had in fact put it away. Some minor concerns in terms of not being able to create a lot for a team that's meant to be so offensive like we are. But a clean sheet. They did have a couple chances, but we're much more solid. Like we talked about at the end of our last podcast, excuse me. Fonseca did try to keep the continuity and keep the people that the same players and the same system that won the derby. So we did see Morata and Abraham. A bit of a surprise because Morata had a bit of a knock and was substituted for that as well as the same the same defenders and midfielders. I have the grades up right now from FotMob on the screen for the audience as well. Who is your man of the match? Who do you think?
Oh, man of the match. I mean, Teo Hernandez got an assist. It's hard to argue. I thought he has a pretty solid game. I thought Leao played really well at instances. Um, Morata had that sort of workhorse attitude again, which resulted in the 3-0. We'll go into that later. But it's a pretty tough one. I would probably say Teo Hernandez because I like him a lot regardless.
Hernandez did do very well. I do think you're right in pointing out how well Leao did. For our biggest problem, as many would depict him online, he's pretty damn good. I think that the team clearly wanted to set a signal. Let's maybe chat about that. He got given the captain armband, with Theo being the vice for this game. I think this is Fonseca trying to shut off the noise from the outside and saying, look, we're behind you. We need you to lock in. We need you to stop concentrating about what everyone's saying. We see Leao track back a lot more, pressure a lot more than he's done in the past, and that translates directly into goals. We'll see.
Absolutely.
The first goal against that was Morata winning the ball back, but it was off a Leao pressure to begin with. We'll show that just in a second. And then the pass to Hernandez's goal is as good as you'll see anywhere, especially for someone who gets criticized for not being able to do that, or people that claim that he doesn't have that in his locker. Now, I'm not saying he's Kevin De Bruyne by any chance, but that pass is as good as you'll see. What did you think about Leao getting the captain armband there?
Yeah, no, I mean Pioli had the system of that the player with the most appearances was going to be our captain, and to be honest, I could understand Pioli at that moment in time. We didn't have a lot of, I guess, star players. We were in a slump performance wise when Pioli came in, But I thought it was sort of time to let that go. You know, Calabria is certainly, while he does carry Milan close to his heart, obviously playing there for so long, that kind of makes sense. But with Calabria's performances, I don't think captaincy was right. I don't think he should have been stripped off it, mid-season, but at least have changed it after winning the Scudetto or something similar, So I think it's time to actually have a full-on captain rather than going to the person who has the most appearances. But yeah, I think you're right in that Fonseca maybe wanted to show that we are behind Leao. The criticism he's gotten, at least online, and obviously Cassano, hasn't really been just. And yes, I'll put my hands up here and say I've been critical, but I think it's more. I think I've been banging on about this 10%. I don't know why I get this, where I get this 10%, but his finishing and sometimes
Hmm.
his energy in the game, when it comes to tracking back, and perhaps sometimes a bit of, um,
Body
I shouldn't
language
say he
too.
has body language. Yeah, I was about to say that he doesn't really have this. It's not that he's a diva, but sometimes it can come across as if he is, when he doesn't have the ball and smiling. So I think it's right that he perhaps for this game had it. Otherwise, I think it should be either Tio or Leao, which who who always play together almost, and they'll play most games for us this season.
Yeah, I mean, let me put myself on a big screen, try to see if this works for a second as we play the first goal. Um, Morata, you said possible man of the match. Um, I mean, the first goal is really, he does well in staying on the first post and going for it and getting the header. Uh, it's incredible that our main striker is not marked even on the first post. So it's definitely the Lecce defense falling asleep a little bit. We saw Morata with a fresh new cut, which was joked around a lot throughout the game and in the post conference. Um, yeah, good instinct from our striker there. Beyond that, I don't think there's too much to say. Um, I mean, what I'm liking more and more about Morata is more than even, the goals in this case. I mean, it's a good goal, but it's nothing special. It's just the attitude. He presses so much. He encourages his teammates all the time. Um, Even sacrifices a lot because he's playing in a position, basically, this weird cam position, whatever we want to talk about, 4-4-2 or 4-2-3-1, whatever it is. But it's him, being behind Tammy, and pressing a lot, and running and sacrificing a lot more than we've seen, for example, Ruben Loftus-Cheek do. We don't know how well he's doing and if he's going to start tomorrow. But what do you think about his impact? We wondered a lot if he was going to be the right signing given his age for us, and now he's playing not even as main striker. What do you think about his general impact to our team?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've said it on the podcast. I was skeptical of sort of why we got Morata, and I think it shows more and more now that I actually get to see him play. Obviously, I watched him during the Euros, I mean, probably the odd Champions League game here and there last season, but it shows that he is a true leader. It's no coincidence that he was a captain of Spain. And
Hmm.
once Giroud left obviously before this season, I think we kind of need those, I guess, leaders, if you want to call that. He is obviously a bit older, not that he's old, but he's a bit older than the rest. While Theo Hernandez, Leao, Mignon, maybe Tomori, um, have a bit more seniority perhaps in the Milan squad purely because of how much they played for us.
Hmm.
One of these maybe needed maybe a fresh leader, and somebody who's won pretty much everything. Well, obviously not the World Cup, but Euros just fresh off this
Yeah.
summer. It makes more sense. And now he's actually, not only was he signed to be a leader, he's actually proving it on the pitch, and it's a role model, I think, to someone like Leao. Put in the work and you'll get rewarded.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that presence is huge. I think that was a big part of when Ibra came back. Very old and limited in what he can do on the pitch, but it's just someone who the whole team can look to, and that helps a lot when someone who's been on the biggest stage in football, in European and world football, and the team can sort of at least emotionally or mentally defer to them. It helps a lot. That put us up 1-0. Let me put myself back on the big screen and see as we go through the second goal. This was the true beauty. We start from Leao's just wonderful pass. Theo just burns right through, not even a touch. He just waits for the ball to come there, takes a look at the goalkeeper, and then fires it off. This is the best version of our team when our left side is connecting between those two, and both best versions of themselves against Lecce, at least especially for those 15 minutes or so. I do think that Fonseca has changed a little bit the way that we create space on the left, something that Pioli, especially towards the end of his reign, the last few seasons wasn't quite able to do. We see the team better spread out and actually creating space so that Leao can either take people one-on-one or at least take people away and create the space that then people like Theo can attack. I think, as well as Pulisic is doing, and we'll get to it when we talk about the third goal in a second, but I still very much think that our team lives and dies by this left side. Even if it's not them directly contributing to goals, we need them to get going to attract that attention and create that balance, this balance in the opponent's defense. Both, especially Theo, had a really tough start to the season. Leao, I don't think he even had that tough of a season. It seemed like he did because he got criticized so much. But now they seem to hit in their stride. Leao talked today about how much Fonseca is talking to him and telling him to come back and helping him. Do you think now that they got going that we can expect consistent performance? Because that's the key, right? We know that at their peak they can change the game anytime. Can we expect them to go on a 3, 4, 5 game winning streak that is led by them and providing good performances on both sides of the ball?
Yeah, I certainly think so. I mean, it's only been 2 games since I guess Fonseca's changed something, and I think you hit it right on the head there, where we have some sort of more attacking option and not this sort of traditional pass the ball out to Theo Hernandez, out to who's right on the sideline, and he passes up to Liao, and then he sort of gets smothered in space because he's always doubled up on and way too far up the pitch when he gets the ball. There's a bit more variety in that left side now, rather than just everything having to happen in the final third. Now it is Lecce. However, stretching defenses like that will also create some space on the other side, and we hit we've attacked the last 2 games. We started attacking with a lot more purpose and quite a lot more direct. I would say it's not the traditional Pioli of we get everyone up the pitch into the final third and then we just pass around
For sure,
and then try to find this sneaky through ball that only a handful of players in the world can find, and just hope and pray. That final third for Pioli was a mystery, and we could never unlock it. But now we're stretching defenses, hitting them a lot more. I guess you could call it a semi counter, and consistency. It looks like it. Morales winning the derby was a massive morale boost, I'm sure. And we were debating on whether Milan put in a good performance against Lecce. The adrenaline high of a derby like that, winning it after so many losses, and all the media talking about Fonseca out and Leao having a terrible start to the season, that sort of all unlocked. But then the come down perhaps against a Lecce could have sort of brought us back down to square one. But we see that we can play mediocrely and have 5 minutes of brilliance, get the 3 points, win 3-0. End of the day, we shouldn't be complaining. But it looks like Fonseca's unlocked that left side again.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I said, I think we live and die by that. But also because if they're not directly creating, it allows our right side to shine. And then we should speak about that. Christian Pulisic gets on the score sheet yet again. His streak of either assisting or scoring continues. This is the best start he's had. And I mean, not that this goal was particularly his creation. He had a solid game as always, without shining too bright. But I can't speak enough about his impact that he's had over last season, which he did already very well in a difficult situation, especially for an attacking player in the system that we had with the last few games of Pioli. And then this season, the upgrade from Messias / Saelemaekers to him is truly immense. Yeah, talk to
Yeah,
me
and
about
that's
him as I
yeah, that
put
was
Jupe on a big screen and we can watch his goal in the background while
yeah,
you speak
no.
about him.
So you're just mentioning Junior Messias there. I'm just thinking that 2 years ago, perhaps a bit more over 2 years ago, before, yeah, let's say 2 years ago, before Pulisic was there, um, if Liao had, which I shouldn't say he's been massively struggling, but you what perhaps wasn't, didn't have the start that we were all hoping for this season. Imagine if our left side was as dead as it was, as it was sort of the first 4 or 5 games this season, compared to if we had a Junior Messias or a Makers, um, 2 seasons ago. I mean, we would have been probably dead last at that point.
Yeah.
And yeah, you just showed the goal there, and you were perfectly right that it wasn't his creation, but at least he's putting them away, and he had a very solid game, and it's brilliant to see that we actually have a front three or a front four, let's put it that way, maybe front three at this moment, that are firing on all cylinders. It's great to see, and young guy, I can't believe Chelsea let him go for that much, but yeah, eventually we scored that goal. I feel like two seasons ago we would have messed that chance up miraculously more than Tammy Abraham did.
Yes. And we'll get to Tammy in a second because I want to talk about him. But yeah, just another same vibe as Morata, another leader that has seen a lot, that remains sort of cool and calm and collected, and does a lot of work on either side of the ball. So yeah, I mean he's as locked in the starting lineup as really anyone in my mind right now. Tammy, uh, honestly, the more I see him play for us, the more I like him in terms of the effort. I feel like it's what's been missing. It's what I think keeps him starting ahead of people like Ruben Loftus-Cheek. It's just the grit and the hunger. Um, I was having a conversation with a friend of ours that perhaps might be featured in the podcast in the future. We'll see. And he was saying he just looks a little bit like Bambi on Ice though there. Plus, maybe should have put away one or two chances this game. Definitely should have put away at least one big chance in the derby. And the goals will come, I'm sure. But it's interesting, as obviously we Milan fans, we just like the approach and the general hunger. Um, where do you stand on him? Because now we don't even know. Obviously, he started with Morata for the last 2 games. Maybe the next one too. The rumor seems to be that the Morata might take, since he's not 100%, might take the bench and so will start as a striker. We don't know that if in the future an hypothetical perfect lineup in Fonseca's mind does have Tammy as a starter with Morata, or what I think is more likely, which is him coming off the bench for Morata. What do you think of him? Do you think he's good? He's not good enough? Um,
No, I think he's good. I think he's doing everything right. The
mhm.
effort's there. He's chasing. You mentioned the grit, the determination. I can't. I mean, I saw him playing for Roma and even before that Chelsea at some points, but I don't remember him as being that athletic. Maybe that's just me who wasn't paying attention. But it
Yeah.
seems like he's quite a solid all round striker, which I wasn't expecting.
Mm-hmm.
Now, sort of seeing him in Milan colours, paying a lot more attention to him. We were talking about this previous podcast where hopefully this is where we unlock Abraham. He gets his goal, gets maybe a brace and comes off with a smile on his face. But I think he's because of how poor, or rather how unfortunate the last 2 seasons have been for him. He's hungrier than ever, and so I don't think it's going to be a lack of motivation. I shouldn't say it was a fresh start at Milan necessarily, but it was sort of a blank page, a blank canvas, and now he's trying to build up to I shouldn't say push to be in the England squad with Harry Kane, and they've got a star-studded team. But
Yeah, up front is a little hard to
sort
break
of
into that squad.
yeah, no, exactly. But at least beyond in the discussion, perhaps for an odd appearance here and there, for instead of bringing Ollie Watkins or whatever. But
Yeah, I mean,
he's definitely got the hunger.
if he remains this passionate and hungry, all that's keeping him away from the first season at Roma, which was spectacular. I mean, if you look at those numbers, 20 plus goals, is the ability to finish. And for a striker, it's so mental. You put away a few, and all of a sudden, every time you're in front of goal, you feel like it's 100%. You're gonna slot it away. You miss a couple big chances, like maybe he has, and now every time you're in front of the goalie 1-on-1, the goal looks very small, and you start getting in your head. I do hope that we are able to unlock a Ruben Loftus-Cheek or Pulisic cam or something that allows Tammy not to start all the time and then be sub and then be a super sub and come in fresh and get some of those easier reps behind
Yep.
Morata. Because I think if you look, if you consider Tammy a second option, meaning our front three, again, whatever formation we end up playing, but of Leao, Pulisic, Morata with the second unit of Chukwueze, Okafor, Tammy. I mean, that's best in Italy in terms of six starter and bench unit at the up front and up there with anyone in Europe. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely something to be said and maybe worry about is finishing overall, but the mindset is so good, and also just him sacrificing himself, just like Alvaro has, and falling back and pressuring at the right moments and falling back and providing support to the midfield of just two, has been great. And then
I mean,
maybe to
I wouldn't want to change too much. You know, Morata's been playing that role very well, but
true.
I agree. Eventually, we're gonna have to rotate, and God forbid Okafor actually stays fit the whole season without playing that much. Muscle fatigue, sure. I'm not. I'm sitting here with a muffin top, and not in great shape. But at the same time, I'm starting to question some of our, I guess, our medical staff or whatever. It's just very bizarre to me. But yes, I agree with you that maybe Abraham would could be able to, if Tammy Abraham gets to play against tired legs,
Yeah,
that could unlock him.
he's physical enough and quick enough to beat anybody. I do agree with you. I mean, Okafor is there to be on a normal base layout sub, and we all know that, and he likes to be on the left. But I do think
Yeah,
that on a good day, he could play that 10 role well. That second striker that comes in space, but can also fall back and press a little bit, given that also he comes in with sort of grit and hunger that those two have shown. But remains to be seen. He's back in training. He'll be healthy. Same with Calabria, actually. And Morata was in training. They're assessing, just how good he is if he can start. So pretty much full squad for Leverkusen, which is good. We haven't had too many injuries compared to last couple of years, at least. Obviously, Morata was sidelined for a little bit, and Calabria and Okafor. But yeah, compared to our normal bill, we'll take that. To wrap up the Lecce game, we had an interesting, let's say, red card. I'll play that quickly for. I'm very unfortunate. Bartesaghi, who had just come on, Forte Hernandez Uresteo. I'm showing some replays. It looks really bad in real time. In slow-mo, you see that he gets the ball, which obviously doesn't necessarily mean that it's not a red card by any chance. But he does get the ball, and then he continues through and hits the player. We put up a poll on our Instagram page, which is obviously very biased because there's a lot of Milan fans following it. And 82% of people didn't think it was a direct red. Consensus online, I think, would agree that it was harsh. Again, it doesn't mean that if you hit the ball first, it's not a foul or it's not a red card. You can just go through people. But I do think that he hits the ball first quite in front of the player, and also doesn't carry out through with the studs up and going up. So
yeah.
to me, that's just a case of a classic just foul and yellow for dangerous play. Nothing more. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm in sort of two minds, and like you said, there's bias. I don't think it was clear enough that the Lecce player had the ball. It was, I shouldn't say it was a 50-50, but it wasn't clear that it was under Lecce's players' control, in the sense that if I'm trying to relate it back to the derby, when Jan Sommer, I would say, was almost equally as dangerous.
You have a point there, yeah, for sure.
It was more obvious that Jan Sommer was in control of the ball and was some sort of a follow through. And of course, goalkeepers are way too protected, and I don't mean that just against Jan Sommer. I mean that overall. But I think it was a clear case of that's a really solid yellow. It didn't catch him particularly high. Um, it is a contact sport at the end of the day, and then you look at what complete side note, what Bruno Fernandes got a red card for on the weekend. It's these red cards are starting to be quite strange. What isn't a red card? What is a red card? Um, yeah, very strange. I wouldn't have given a red. I would have given a solid yellow and a stern talking to by the referee. I don't think it was malicious. It was hard, of course, but not particularly high up, and it wasn't quite definitely Lecce's players' ball. If you know what I mean, like he wasn't
Yes, yes, it
in
was
massive
definitely there for a
control of it.
taking. I think
Yeah,
a fair would have been a yellow. I do agree with you that if a keeper does that, it's nothing, and those just not a written rule, but it just kind of how it goes. Just feel bad, unfortunate for Bartesaghi. He's there, hovering in the first team, sometimes playing with the Milan Futuro, which is good. He needs reps, but he knows that he's gonna get minutes when we're up or down big, and Teo
yeah.
needs a rest. Otherwise, not really.
That
So this
was
is
that
very
was
unfortunate for
exactly
him.
that was exactly what the Swedish commentator said. Vicky Blumia, who's a Milanista at heart, but she's one of the commentators for Serie A. She was saying that it's such a shame, not only because he's young, but the very few minutes he gets a season for Milan, and it sort of ends this way. I can't remember how many was it, about 6 minutes he was on the pitch for, not even
Something like that, yeah.
something like that. Yeah, he got subbed on in the 75th, and this happened in the 80th, whatever. And so that's a real shame. But I'm sure Fonseca, it wasn't like a idiotic challenge. It wasn't. He wasn't running around for a headless chicken and he elbowed someone for a red card. I think he'll be back. But like you said, we're
Yeah.
winning 3-0. Theo got some rest, thank God. It's a shame because I like Bartasagi for
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
very
And
little
Fonseca
we've
seemed
seen
very
him.
upset, so I think I'll understand. And also, I saw, Teo and Morata doing very well and going to sort of, make him feel a little bit better. He was going into the tunnel. But yeah, unfortunate for him. Um, then I think that's a Lecce game. That'll be it. I saw some Italian commentators, talking about how Lecce played better until we scored, and we'll see against teams that are in the relegation zone, and we'll see. I mean, we saw against Inter, we did just fine. But I mean, look, we didn't start hot, but we're doing okay. We have a better goal, same points as Inter, better goal difference than Inter, even though we're defensively shaky and somehow they're solid in the press.
Yeah,
But
scored the
look,
most in the Serie A.
yeah, I think that scrutiny will be there a lot, and sometimes maybe that will help. But of course, the big match that will play in just under 24 hours by now is against Bayer Leverkusen, the German champions. We're traveling up to Germany for that one. Um, look, football changes fast. You ask me after Liverpool, and I say 90% chance they beat us and beat us badly. A team that
Yeah,
likes to press, just like Liverpool pressed us and absolutely annihilated us at home. German champions. Now, we turn the page, and the environment seems a lot better. Morale seems a lot better. We played another team, very good team, playing through the back like Inter. It's not exactly the same formation, of course, but we played them very well. Um, they played the day after us, so one less day of rest, and they did play Bayern Munich, so a bit of a tougher game.
yeah,
What do you expect from tomorrow? And a game not necessarily must win. I think we could probably still drop this and Real Madrid, the other very tough games, and win the others and have a chance. But would be nice
yeah.
to finally get some points on the board. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I mean, I can't say I've seen a lot of Bayer Leverkusen, but any team that beats that breaks Bayern's almost was a 10 year, 10 year streak of winning the league is probably a very good team. They obviously haven't kept their Bundesliga invincible season intact, but that was against Red Bull Leipzig, who are obviously going to finish top four in the Bundesliga. Um, I think they've scored quite a lot of goals this season already, so that's a bit of a worry considering we have a shaky defense. But I'm hopeful purely because, like you said, they played against Bayern, so they'll probably have some tired legs, and they probably put out their best team. But with Xabi Alonso's seemingly tactical genius mind, he could probably read our tactics quite easily. But we beat Inter 2-1. Inter are a top side in Europe, at least in foreign media outside of Italy. So yeah, anything to play for. Like you said, also we don't have to win. It would be nice, of course. But yeah, it'll be interesting because I like when Milan obviously play different styles of football, and we'll see what Fonseca conjures up.
Yes, absolutely. They score a lot, which is a problem, as you said, for us. Um, the other side of the coin is that they concede also a lot, and we
Yeah,
are actually pretty powerful, or can be, not always are, but can be on paper pretty powerful. So they conceded one against Bayern. They haven't gotten a clean sheet in the league yet. The only time they got a clean sheet this season was in the last Champions League game where they took care of Feyenoord very easily 4-0.
yeah,
And in the first round of the German Cup against a lower division team. But beyond that, one against Bayern, they conceded 3 against Wolfsburg in a game that they won 4-3, but still conceded 3. One against Hoffenheim, 3 against Leipzig when they lost, as you just brought it up. 2 against Borussia Mönchengladbach, 2 against Stuttgart in the Super Cup final, where they won in
yeah.
penalties, but still 2. So it's a team that we can hurt. Against Bayern, I saw only the highlights. They sort of parked the bus a little bit to stay a little bit more solid at the back, as that makes sense. If they do that, that will be interesting. If they try to press us, I think, if they do well and sort of freeze us, we could end up like Liverpool, where we're in trouble. But at the same time, what I hope is Fonseca's new version of Milan that turned this page after the derby can break out of a press somewhat successfully, and if you give Pulisic space, and if you give Leao space, and if you give Tammy Abraham space, I like our chances to at
Yeah,
least be able to hurt them.
it'll be very interesting to see Frimpong try to handle both Theo and Liao running at him. I think obviously he plays
Yes.
more of a right mid, I guess you could say, but I think Bayer Leverkusen plays quite a dangerous type of football sometimes, and we've got the legs for it with Theo and Liao. Not that Bayern that Bayern Munich don't have it, for example, in a 1-0 draw, and like you said, they parked the bus, but they play a bit more open. Hopefully, Theo and Tiao, as we now need to start calling it, that our left wing will punish them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think on that side, we're looking good, especially because the pace of Ta and Tapsoba behind Frimpong could be exposed a little bit. I think we need a big performance from our midfielders. If we win in the middle of the park with Fofana and Reinders against Xhaka and Andrich, I think we have a chance. It seems, by all accounts, that Calabria will start. Actually, Grimaldo versus Calabria is a bit of a concern. You're right to pray to all the gods that you believe in. Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm hoping that they're not left on an island 1-on-1, as we saw poor Davide be left too often during the Pioli ball era. And then, of course, I mean, look, the top three have plenty of firepower. I don't know who'll start. I would guess it's Wirtz, Boniface, and Adli, but we'll see. Plenty of work to do. It seems like Gabbia will remain, and they're going to ride his hot streak. And Tomori will get a rest for Pavlovic. So we'll see Gabbia Pavlovic start, which I don't think we have this season yet.
I don't think so either. No.
I hope that comes with a very smart game plan of falling back at the right times and not letting him into space, because those two don't have really the pace that Tomori have, but have very great positional defending. And we'll see the changes that Fonseca is looking to make. From as far as we know now, of course, anything can change until tomorrow. It's just that is Calabria in for Emerson Royal. What a good game against Lecce. Nothing special, but good.
Yep,
Building.
and his pass, how the ball, obviously Tammy Abraham hit the post, the ball came back out.
Yeah.
That ball by Emerson Royal straight into Tammy's feet for then obviously the semi deflection and the save, and then Pulisic scored. That was refreshing to see our fullback that's not Theo Hernandez actually find feet like that.
Yeah,
So
and
distinctively.
direct. No, you're absolutely right to point that out. Totally agree. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how we'll see how Calabria goes. I hope he has a good game. I think he deserves it. Not that I think he's the best right back in the world, but I do feel bad for him and the criticism that he often gets. Um,
Yep.
and then, yeah, it should be Pavlovic in for Tomori and Ruben Loftus-Cheek for Morata. I'm really, really, really hoping, I know I mentioned this a lot, that Ruben Loftus-Cheek comes in hungry. We need him not to be, not to be Kevin De Bruyne. We don't need him to be a game changer for us. We need him to be physical, him to run, him to not press by just like running and then staying 1 meter in front of the guy with the ball, but actually going in to win the ball, which is all that Morata has been doing, is actually following through his press. So if he does play, I hope that goes well. And yeah, some points, even just a draw would be massive as we try to make it through the playoffs. I think everyone will agree. Serie A should be the focus. Obviously, that doesn't mean that we play the B team in Champions League and tank. We want to make it to the next round and all that, of course. But
And keep the momentum running.
yes,
Try to at
absolutely.
least.
Winning cures everything. So it's almost better to
Yep.
win in the Champions League, not necessarily because you're hoping to win the Champions League. Obviously, you hope to win any game in any competition you're in, but just because this team desperately needs momentum and good press and good vibes and positivity. So we'll see tomorrow how it goes. 9 p.m. kickoff. I guess 42 minutes. This is the great time to call it, as it's late at night here on a Monday, and we have to go to work and courses and all that. It's prediction
We
time.
need a prediction. It's prediction time. You're gonna have to go first this time. I'll let you go
That's
first.
true. You went first last 2 times, and you nailed the derby, and we're so close. Lecce, you said 3-1. This is a tough one, though, to go first. This is a tough one because Lecce, I think we both, knew where we were going. This one could really go anyway. If you tell me we lose, badly like Liverpool, I could believe it. If we tell me we pull through like in the derby, I believe it. Okay. Prediction: Bayern Leverkusen, Milan. Game day 2 of Champions League. It's gonna have to be a 3-2 Milan. We talked about how both teams create a lot and score a lot, and perhaps are a little bit shaky at the back. So I think that continues. Even though this Champions League format seems to encourage teams to defend and not try to bring away a point, I'm gonna say 3-2 Milan. I'll throw in a Leao goal for sure. The others I don't know, but Leao scores at least one. How about you?
Can I be boring and say the same, or do I have to switch it up? So
If
just
that's
like
what
you,
you had in mind,
Stefano,
go for it.
that's what I had in mind. So just like you, Stefano, with a 3-2 prediction, I shall also go for a 3-2 prediction. I'll change the goal scorer though. I am going to say a Pulisic goal. That's quite boring. It's not very out there.
At this point,
He's on a streak.
a Pulisic goal or assist is pretty much a given. I expect Christian to absolutely come through, even in Germany. I mean, an
The eye of
American
the
in
tiger.
Germany, we know what they're capable of.
We do.
And hopefully we get to chat about this game with an American correspondent next.
That would be great.
Next podcast, we'll see. Well, both say 3-2. That should be a lock. Anyone, you're free to play. I don't know what the betting odds on that are, but 3-2 Milan victory is probably will probably pay off a pretty penny. I don't think we're the favorite at all, but you heard it here first.
We'll take some commission.
Just a like and subscribe in the
Like
bottom.
and subscribe.
Probably should not say
Absolutely.
that 42 minutes into the video, but probably a little bit
We're
earlier.
not
I'll
here
get
for the
better at
likes
this
and
whole
views.
YouTube thing.
We're not here for the likes and views. We're here for the passion of the sport and AC Milan.
We do this for the badge, for the love of the shirt, love of the colors. And that'll be it. Thank you, Ozzy, as always.
Thank
See
you,
next
Stefano.
time.